Hello, BookTube. Just recently, Grammaticus Books made a video on his favorite book covers of all time. And it was great. It was wonderful to see. He reads a lot of science fiction and fantasy, so he had a lot of great covers to choose from. And then Michael K Vaughan, not satisfied with 10 covers, did 20 covers drawn from his own collection, also large amounts of science fiction and fantasy. And I was watching those videos, I was loving them, but I was also thinking, well, isn't this just BookTube all over? This is BookTube's sly way of us just talking about random books with each other. Because you're not going to just show a cover. You're going to talk a little about the book, or in my case, maybe a lot about the book. And I love that. I love all the different ways we find to just talk about random books with each other, because you never know what's going to stick. But then I was thinking, well, just on the brief of the subject itself, I could certainly do that. So I have picked about 10 covers. I don't know that they're my all-time favorites, but some of them are. So the first one that I want to look at, I have a couple of mass market paperbacks here. And the first one, the artist is uncredited. As far as I've ever been able to determine, this artist had a heyday with Bantam Books about 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Whoever this artist was, they designed and did the artwork for dozens and dozens and dozens, maybe even 100 covers. So I picked the first one that came to hand. It is not a recommendation. It is not a recommendation of this book. I've given this book enough tries in my life to know that it is just poorly written garbage. But the book is Lady Chatterley's Lover by the unbelievably overrated D.H. Lawrence. And that is the cover illustration, this kind of softened watercolors that fade off into a white background. You know what the image is, but it fades around the edges. I do not know who this artist is, but this artist did the artwork on a whole bunch of paperbacks that I have and love. So I wanted to include that, even though I think probably in a few of these cases we will not be able to identify the artist. The next artist certainly can be identified. The next artist left her signature big and wide on her artwork. This is an old Timescape paperback of Keith Laumer's character Retief, who lives in the future and is a two-fisted diplomat who often likes to pull a ray gun or sock the jaw of a criminal alien in place of the carefully worded stern memos of his diplomatic bosses. And Rowena was told all that. She was given her brief for this collection, which is called Retief of the CDT. She was told all that, a thumbnail at least, about what was going on here. And I'm pretty sure she ignored it all. And gave us instead a Retief who is a very young, super hottie with soloflex muscles and chiseled cheekbones and all sorts of theater costume department prop extras in a costume that is nowhere described in the book. Retief is not described as a young man in the book. And best of all, on this cover, Rowena also gives us what I think is the only codpiece ever to appear on a science fiction cover. She got the description of Retief of the CDT, and this is what she came up with. You see the full glory of this. I'm doing a book cover art tag on an incredibly overcast day. Sorry about that. But that is her cover. I laughed like crazy about this when I first saw it. When was that? In the 70s? Yeah, in the 70s. I laughed like crazy about that when I first saw it because I'd already read the stories. And I have loved it ever since. So I want to include that. Now, this next one is a bit of a cheat. It is not the original cover of this book, but it is a book cover. And it is one of the most famous illustrations of all time. And I believe it is uncredited. I'm sure that you film buffs will probably know who did this, but I don't. Even though it's an image that's recognized all over the world and has been for 50 years. This is the 85th anniversary edition of Book of the Month Club. So it's not the book is 85 years old, God help us. I'm old, but I'm not that old. It's Book of the Month Club is 85 years old, and they did a reissue of Peter Benchley's novel Jaws. And they chose to substitute the original boring black dust jacket of the hardcover with the most famous movie poster of all time. And I love it. I absolutely love it. It is not accurate in any way. The shark is, of course, not the size of a submarine. And a great white shark's teeth don't look like that. And it is great white shark that is the character in this book. This is the main threat in this book. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. This is just epic. I have had Benchley's novel Jaws in hardcover before, because I reread this all the time, and as you can see, I put things in it. So a hardcover is best. I've read it in hardcover before with that original American Dust Jacket, and it was just so boring sitting around the shelf. So to have this thing, oh my, it's even on the spine. This is just fantastic. To have this is just fantastic. And I, while I'm praising this cover and also this scene, which opens the book and opens Steven Spielberg's movie, I should point out that I recently rewatched that opening scene, and it is every bit as viscerally unsettling as it was 50 years ago. So on the outside chance that you've never seen Jaws, prepare yourself. Because the very first shark attack is, you'll feel it. It's not, you never see the shark, and yet you will feel it. You absolutely will. So I had to include that because it's the most famous image that I'm going to show you. Then we can have Brideshead Revisited. This is the original Little Brown hardcover edition with this illustration here. Let's get my floppy bookmarker out of the way. So you can make it out there. Those are two well-dressed characters by an ornate fountain. And I think it's lovely. I love the way the artist, in this case the artist is credited. Let me get that for you. Very tough to turn pages quickly when you can't feel what you're doing. Now, come on. I know this is credited. I know that it is. Yes, Lester Peterson. No idea who that is. But Lester Peterson has done a sublime job here because the fountain is phantom outside of the harsh light of this lighted angle. And this lighted angle is a series of stairs. So there's a surreal aspect to this moment. And I think I know exactly what moment the artist is capturing here. There's a scene in the book where these two characters have a shattering scene at this fountain. And after that, their whole world goes downhill. So I think that the artist had that in mind. I think it's rather nice. I really, really like it. This next one is by MJ Pearson. It's a self-published book. It's a Victorian crime novel. I found the cover illustration is by... Well, surely you will credit your illustrator. Surely you will, because you are an indie publisher. Surely you will not let your cover illustrator go uncredited. Oh my God, you are. Okay, well, this is MJ Pearson's novel, Helpless. And I think it's just an evocative picture. No particular rationale otherwise. I just think it's rather good. Most indie published books don't look this good. This exact scene does not happen in the novel. And I can't believe the author did not credit the artist. Oh, that is bad. But anyway, so there's that. And then we'll move on to this. This is not the original that I saw this in, of course. This is Book of the Month Club volume. This is the Star Trek Reader Volume 3, the Science Fiction Book Club, I think, or the Book of the Month Club. Well, this just says Dutton. Well, anyway, Star Trek, the original series, it had the idea to ask the novelist James Blish, the science fiction novelist James Blish, to start writing up the teleplays of each individual episode of the 3 seasons of the original series. And he did, and the first one was done very quickly, and it had just a piece of actually rather nice. The first one, just called Star Trek, had a rather nice piece of original artwork. Number 2 and number 3 had photo stills from the publicity department of the studio. And then the novels, the books, the anthologies of short stories started having original cover artwork. And that original cover artwork is fantastic. All of the rest of the volumes in that series are incredible. And again, I'm not sure that we ever knew who did that artwork. I don't think it was ever credited on those original paperbacks. And I don't think it's credited here. No credit at all. I just picked this one. This is the Star Trek Reader 3, but there you have the Enterprise, and these 3 are in the process of beaming either up or down from an alien planet. And it's lovely. I just think it's lovely. All of these original Star Trek paperback covers are lovely. I just couldn't find all of my original paperbacks, so I grabbed a Star Trek Reader. All 4 Star Trek Readers reprint Not only the stories from those original paperback volumes, but also the cover artwork. They don't make anything new. And this cover artwork has never appeared anywhere else. It does not survive. When, I think it was Bantam or Pocket or whoever, when they did, years and years later, they did a 3-volume mass market set, also reprinting the James Blish short stories, and it was a good set. It had photos in it, a photo for each episode. It had credits, I think, which Blish doesn't have. But it did not have the original artwork. This original artwork has never appeared since. I firmly believe that if Paramount or whoever would authorize reprinting those original James Blish volumes with the cover artwork, they would sell like crazy. They would sell well enough to more than justify the print run. Not that the stories are much to write home about themselves. Blish was not all that familiar with the show and sometimes had not seen it when he was writing it. So, and also under a brutal deadline, as anyone who's ever written a Star Trek novel will tell you, the deadlines can be brutal and the remuneration is nominal. So the stories aren't much to write home about, but the artwork was incredible. And I don't know the story behind it. I don't know, did the studio commission it? Did they pay full rate? Was it fans volunteering? No idea. Then we have, this is from a long time ago. This is a biography. You wouldn't think that a biography would be on this list at all. Even I will admit that biographies come short. Yeah, this is from 1939, almost 100 years ago. This is Henry Seidel Canby's biography of Henry David Thoreau. Now, when I say that, this is a biography of Henry David Thoreau, it's a really good biography of Henry David Thoreau. It has, of course, been supplanted by A Mind on Fire, which is a much better biography, but still it's a good biography, really good and well written. And when you hear that it's a biography of Henry David Thoreau, I bet you can guess what you're automatically thinking what the cover is going to look like, and you're wrong. It's this. That is just lovely. A fox out in the snow looking at a New England village in the far distance. I think that is just lovely. And look at that. It's the whole painting. There's a man far in the distance. That is just lovely. That whole painting. Now, stuff's falling out. Oh my God. Oh my God. Do we have a credit for that? That would be so nice if we did. Yeah, see, you expect the cover to look like that. And it doesn't. And that caught, back in 39, that caught a lot of people by surprise. This does not credit the illustrator. Okay, well, no, it does not credit the illustrator. It credits the frontispiece, the daguerreotype, but not the cover. But I had to include this. I had to include a little nonfiction, because this is lovely. Although there's a bit more nonfiction in here. Then I want to echo Grammaticus Books. He hauls up science fiction covers, like I said, including the Science Fiction Book Club hardcovers of John Carter of Mars. Now, I was singing along with him because those covers are great, until he praised the final cover in that series, which is not only not as good as the others, but is cartoonishly bad, proving once again that one can never trust Grammy. He will take you only so far, and then he will throw in a monstrous clunker. But I had to agree with him up until then, because, of course, the artist we're talking about here is Frank Frazetta. And this is his cover for Princess of Mars, the first book in the series. There he is. There is John Carter of Mars and the incomparable Deja Thoris. There is Woola, his dog, in the background there, and also a dead Thark under the twin moons of Mars. Incredible. Just incredible. I get these Book of the Month Club editions of John Carter whenever I see them, because I'm always going through mine. I love the mass market paperbacks. Actually, the latest mass market paperbacks, the Tales of Barsoom with Michael Whelan covers. One of those is praised by Michael K Vaughan in his video, and I love those books. But these hardcovers really hold up, and better than anything. So I tend to get these, but I couldn't do a cover illustration video without that. I mean, honestly, what kind of a... okay, then this might be stretching the blanket just a bit. Of course, I have a lot of books of collected issues of superhero comic books. And a lot of those individual issues have had great covers. You could do a whole video on the best comic book covers. But I thought that would be cheating, because they just reprint the covers of the comic books, which were not books. They were comics. They were magazines. But then I thought, well, there is an original book that had an original cover originally drawn by the artist for its book publication. Surely that counts. And it is this: The Origins of Marvel Comics by Stan Lee, with this incredible cover by John Romita Sr. Is his incredibly clean, crisp lines for these archetypal Marvel superheroes. So you have Stan Lee pounding away on a mechanical typewriter, and these characters are springing forth. There's the Thing, there's the Hulk. Look at that beautiful Doctor Strange. That is just fantastic. There's Spider-Man, of course. John Romita Sr. made the visual template for Spider-Man that every artist has used since. I mean, the character's costume looked like that before, but it wasn't perfect like that until John Romita Sr. perfected it. And here, I don't mean to weigh into the deep waters of fan controversy as to whether or not Spider-Man should have the webbing under his arms or not. I don't want to get into that. Then we have Prince Namor the Submariner, who is not a major part of the Stan Lee revival of Marvel Comics. He was, in fact, a foundational part of the original Marvel Comics, before it was Marvel Comics. Him and Captain America and the Human Torch. But this is not that Human Torch. This is the Fantastic Four's Human Torch. So, the origins of Marvel Comics, I understand you mean the Stan Lee era of Marvel Comics. So it makes sense that this Human Torch would be on there instead of the original Human Torch from the 1940s. It doesn't make sense that Prince Namor would be on there, but I guess. And then, of course, Thor. And the way that I don't know if you're going to be able to make this out, but the way that you know that it's a John Romita Sr. Thor is that John Romita Sr. insisted on drawing Thor's hammer as though it were made of shiny metal. So you can't really make it out, but there are lines to show that the hammer is like polished metal. When Jack Kirby, who set the visual template for Thor, and every other artist for Thor, has made his hammer look more like stone. Even though we're told that it is metal, we're told that it is Uru metal. It looks like rough stone, as opposed to, I guess, polished steel or whatever John Romita Sr. thought it was. But that is just beautiful. The Origins of Marvel Comics was reprinted. After a long, long time where you could only get it this way in a collector's market, it was reprinted with a different cover. Talented artist, but nobody's as talented as John Romita Sr., so I passed on it. Then we have something that will stand as an example only. I could have gone anywhere with this artist. This artist did his interior art. He also did all of his covers. He's gone now. I'm pretty sure that you can't go into a children's section of a bookstore and get this guy's artwork. The artist is Peter Spier. And he did a whole bunch of books, and they are all incredible. I love his artwork style. I suppose not everybody would. But I picked just one. The Fox Went Out on a Chilly Night. Some of you, when you hear just that line, are singing now. Because it's a great song. It's a great folk song. And some of you, of a certain age, are not only singing Fox Went Out on a Chilly Night, but you're singing it in a particular version by Nickel Creek, who did a fantastic version of this song. But the fox went out on a chilly night and he prayed to the moon to give him light. For he had many a mile to go that night before he reached the town-o. Town-o, town-o. Oh, many a mile to go that night before he reached the town-o. And you get his artwork all throughout here. Just lovely artwork all throughout here as he just illustrates the popular ballad. So that is my penultimate choice. And then my final favorite cover is a huge self-indulgence because it's a cover I made. I didn't create the individual elements of it, but I did bring them together. I did make this cover because I found a copy of the Cambridge Ancient History. It's a multi-volume history of the ancient world that came and went a long time ago. I'm sure that probably there's a new Cambridge Ancient History that is ongoing or that is much newer than this one. The original Cambridge Ancient History was, a long time ago. Are you even going to tell me? Yeah, the 1930s, reprinted with slight corrections in the 1950s. The big, huge volumes that take you through the ancient world, massive period by massive period. The books themselves are 1,000 pages long each. They have fold-out maps and tons of inset illustrations and genealogies and whatnot. They're incredible. And the individual chapters of the individual books are each written by different scholars in the field. So if you get the 1930s version, you are getting some of the foundational modern scholars of ancient Rome, of ancient Greece, the Near Eastern kingdoms. The volumes are amazing. They're absolutely amazing. They're not around anymore. They're not in libraries have de-accessed them. So whenever I find one out in the wild, I grab it. I don't think they were ever even issued with dust jackets. So I only ever see them in brown hardcovers. I've just got a few of them. And I found, when did I find you, my dear? Oh my God, look at all these fold-out maps and fold-out genealogies. It's just awesome. All right, years ago, I found this thing, which is the Cambridge Ancient History, Volume 9, which is the last century of the Roman Republic. So the last time when Rome was not an autocracy, owing everything and all in it to the boss, before a series of men who cared about nothing but their own money came along and destroyed a functioning republic, a healthy, functioning republic. A healthy, functioning republic. And then, of course, the following volume is the rise of the autocracy, the rise of the Caesars. But for this one, this is just 1,000 pages of the brothers Gracchi and all of the land reforms and the servile wars and whatnot, all leading up to the civil war from which Julius Caesar emerges victorious. And that's what it is. It's just a naked hardcover of the Cambridge Ancient History, Volume 9. But I wanted to put a dust jacket on it, so I did. I put a dust jacket on it, and I put on the spine Republican Rome with a plinth there, just so that I know what I'm looking at. I used paper. I put paper on this. I folded the paper to cover the book, as we learned how to do in Catholic grade school. And then I used clear plastic packing tape to reinforce the paper, which would otherwise rip instantly in a book this heavy. So I had a white covering with this, and I made this spine. I wrote this spine on it so I would know what it was on the shelf. But then I wanted a cover for it as well. I actually want to go back and put blurbs on the back here. Fake blurbs on the back here. I wanted a cover for it. So, of course, I chose a New Yorker cartoon. I chose this New Yorker cartoon. 2 clueless American tourists talking to a tour guide in the ruins of ancient Rome, in the middle of the Roman Forum. And the caption is, I suppose there's quite a story behind all this. And I thought that went really well with the fact that this is the story. I suppose there's quite a story to go with all this. Classic clueless American line. But the minute I got this volume and I reread it from front to back because it's so good. I got this volume and I reread it and I thought, oh, I want to make a dust jacket for this. Next time I get packing paper in the mail, I'm going to flatten it out and then make a cover for it. And then I thought, oh, in an ideal world, I know exactly what illustration would go on that cover. And then I thought, you have 10 different copies of that illustration. Cut one of them out and use it. Just make your cover in layers. Add it to make your cover. So I made my own cover for the Cambridge Ancient History Volume 9. So there you go. Those are some of my favorite book covers. Oh my God, I could have done this all day. But Grammaticus raises the point that if you have a BookTube channel and you want to show us some book covers and talk about the books a little, feel free. It's just an excuse to talk about books, and I love that, and you do too. I think Michael K Vaughan also extended that invitation, and so do I. If you have a BookTube channel, find some covers that you really like and show them and tell us why. I would love to hear it. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up and put these things back where they belong. Because just putting them willy-nilly anywhere would be an offense to David Murphy, who spent a long time organizing these shelves. So I'm going to put these things religiously back where they belong. So I will do that for the rest of the year. Thank you, BookTube.